I am back with another book haul video. I'm gonna be sharing all of the books that I recently purchased from our Phoenix trip, as well as from a trip to the local used bookstore that I love so much here in Las Vegas Books. And I also have quite a stack of pre-order books that I want to share with you today. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so I kind of separate them into different categories. I'm gonna go over the first 3 books that I believe I got from Las Vegas Books. So the first one that I have is called Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau. I think that is how you say the author's name. I feel like I recently have been seeing quite a lot of people that I follow on YouTube reading this book, and it just sounds kind of interesting. It's sort of like, I think, a coming of age book, and this one was set in the 1970s in Baltimore about 14-year-old Mary Jane, who took a job for the summer nannying for a doctor who lived in her neighborhood. I think the doctor is a psychiatrist who's also actually taken a couple. The husband is a rock star, the wife is a movie star, and they basically stay at the psychiatrist's house to get clean for the summer. And because Mary Jane is still very, very young, I think her mom was a little bit concerned about her being exposed to a rock star and a movie star who's trying to get clean for the summer. I think we're just gonna learn about how she might be able to sort of have an impact in this doctor's household, because I think the house was just a mess when she got there for her first day or something like that. And I feel like this type of story I would enjoy so much, and that's why I decided to pick it up when I see it at my local used bookstores. The next one that I have is The Book of Two Ways by Jodi Picoult. I think that's how you say her last name. But I actually already had this book in hardcover from last year, and I decided to unhaul that book in search for the paperback version, and I was able to find it at Las Vegas Books like a few months ago, and I decided to pick it up. This one is about a woman, her name is Dawn, who was on a plane, I think flying home or something, and in the middle of the flight attendant was saying that everybody prepare for a crash landing. She thinks that she might not survive this plane crash, and the first thing that she think about when she saw like a flashback of her life is Wyatt, who is not her husband. And in the back of the book, it did say that everybody survived the crash landing, and basically the airline was trying to compensate for this accident by offering everybody like a one-way ticket to anywhere they want to go. And I think she decided to go to Egypt, which is where Wyatt is, and I guess the story unfolds from there. And I don't know why, I'm just so curious about this type of story where the FMC is happily married, or maybe just married in general, and they are having like rough patches and stuff, and I just want to know how they got over it or how they resolve this rough patches. And the next one that I got is Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. I actually have not read anything by Julie Soto before, and I have another of her books that is about musicians, and this is the other one that I feel like maybe were published around the same time. But this one is about Emma and Elliot, and I think both of them are in the wedding industry. She is a wedding planner, and he owns a flower shop and probably would supply flowers for like weddings and stuff. I think they need to collaborate with like a big event or like a big wedding event or something like that, and their chemistry just took off from there. This next stack of books are gonna be all of the books that I bought when I was in Phoenix, and I'm pretty sure I got some from BookOff and also some from Half-Price Books. We're just gonna lump them together. There's also another thrift store, like chain stores that are only in Phoenix area, I think, or maybe in Arizona in general, and we were able to, well, at least Ricky was able to get a bunch of One Piece volumes when we were there, and he almost completed his collection. But I got like maybe less than 10 books, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books. So let me just show you what I got from like our Phoenix trip. The first one is The Lost Ticket by Freya Sampson. Last year I read her book called The Last Chance Library, and that book. I just love it so much. If you're looking for a book, about a librarian actually, small town, really cute, eccentric neighbors and community members, a very, very small subplot of romance, you should definitely pick up The Last Chance Library. And because I love that book so much, I decided to pick up her other books. The Lost Ticket is one of them, and I'm pretty sure I have one of her other books. I don't remember if I do. I think I do. But anyways, this one is about Libby, who just moved to London from somewhere. And then when she was on the bus, she actually came across this elderly guy named Frank, and he was kind of like swapping stories with her, telling her that back in 1962, he met a girl on the number 88 bus, but then they never really get to talking. He never really know who she is and stuff like that. So for the past, like, I don't know, decades or something, Frank has been riding the same bus and hoping to find this woman that he saw in 1962. The next couple books actually are part of a book series that I have not started, but I found book 4 and book 6 of this series, and it was only $5 at BookOff, and I decided to get it. They are part of the Shadow Me series by Tahara Mafi. This one is book 4, and book 6, I don't want to really see what the synopsis from the back of the book is about because I have not even read the first one. And if you're wondering why I don't have book 5, it is because they do have it actually at the time, but it was $9. I'm not sure why it was $9 because if you were to get the book new, it was $12. So I feel like it wasn't worth it for me to get the book for $9. I could just find book 5 at another thrift store or a used bookstore or buy it new. So I decided to leave book 5 behind and I took home book 4 and 6. But I think it's fine. Like, I still have some time to actually read the first book and continue on with the series before needing to buy book 5 or read it. And if anything, I could also borrow it from the library, and then when I go thrifting again sometime in the future, I could look for book 5. So the next book that I have is The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest. I actually got one of her newest published book called The Summer Girlfriend in my pre-order stack, so I will talk about that in just a minute. But I've heard so many great things about this book in particular, and I've wanted to read more romance book by Black authors because I have enjoyed Kennedy Ryan so much, and I recently read a book by Danielle Allen, and again, I've heard great things about Christina Forrest's book, so I decided to pick this one up. This one is again another book about people who are bookish. I think the main FMC wanted to become a book editor for children's book, and the MMC is actually an author. He just moved in next door to her, and somehow they struck a conversation, and she is asking him to help her get dates because of her sister's getting married. She wants to bring a date to the wedding, and she's also been corresponding with her favorite fantasy author, not knowing that that author that she admires is actually him. He's writing with a pen name, so nobody know his actual identity, and I feel like that is just kind of cute. I want to know what is gonna happen, how they're gonna fall in love, and when is she gonna find out that the guy, the neighbor, the new neighbor that she's been kind of like being friendly with is actually her favorite fantasy author. Next book that I got is Not Safe for Work by Nisha J. Tully. I feel like I have been trying to borrow this book and read this book ever since it came out last summer, I believe. But I finally was able to get the physical copy because it was just there at the bookstores or at the thrift stores that I went to in Phoenix, so I decided to pick it up. This one is about engineer Tris, who basically worked for this big engineering company. She was the first woman of color to smash the glass ceiling, but unfortunately she didn't get promoted even though she really worked hard for it, because Ralphie, the boss's son, he was the one who was promoted instead of her. And that is how basically our main characters' backstory start. Both of them are chosen to go to this company retreat in Hawaii, and for some reason they kind of messed up the reservation, so they were put into the same room together. All of my favorite tropes are in here: workplace romance, nemesis to lover, one bed trope, maybe. Next book that I have from my Phoenix trip, and it's actually the last book, is An Arcane Inheritance by Camilla Cole, and this is how the book looks like. I think I've heard of this book because it was one of the Goodreads seasonal challenge from either last year at the end of the year or earlier this year, but I didn't get a chance to get to it, and it sounds pretty interesting. From the cover, you can probably tell that this might be a little bit of a dark academia vibe. It looks kind of like Babel, like the cover, but a little bit darker. It is the special edition with the sprayed edges, and some people don't like sprayed edges on paperback, but honestly, I love it. This is about Ellery, who is determined to prove that she belongs at Warren University, an Ivy League school whose history is deeply linked to dark secrets. Every time she walks through the hallway of this university, she senses that she's been here, and she always got this deja vu. So I just want to know why and what is that all about. And the blurb in the back said, legends say Warren University was built on the bones and forbidden magic of its most prized BIPOC students, hiding a secret society that will do anything to keep their own powers burning bright. The next stack of books are all of the books that I've pre-ordered in the beginning of the year, and maybe some of them are also last year that were delivered and published in the last few months. So let's get started with that. The first one that I have is First and Forever by Lynn Painter. This is one of her adult romance books. I have probably read two of her YA romance books, and I have enjoyed all of them. People are saying that they would prefer Lynn Painter's YA books over her adult romance books, but I want to give her a try for her adult romance book. This one also kind of piqued my interest. It's about Duffy, who loved three things: her dad, the family cat, and the Minneapolis Coyote football. And I think she did something during like the game or something like that, and she was basically get kicked out of the game. I guess for like damage control, the team's PR asked MVP Connor Cunningham to go to this morning TV show, get interviewed to talk about good things about the team. And I guess he didn't know and she didn't know that they would meet up during that TV show filming, be together and talk about the team or something like that. And I guess that interview went viral, so the PR team of the football team wanted them to go out as like a PR couple so they can basically make the team look better or something like that. I'm pretty sure this is not really a summer romance book, although it does look like it. But I know that the football season is about to start because Ricky and his friends are about to do their fantasy football draft. So maybe when they do that, I will start reading this as well. So the next book that I have is How to Find a Guy in 5 Weddings by Cynthia Timothy. This is her second book. I have read her debut novel last year because I came across it on NetGalley, and I love it so much that I actually pre-ordered the physical book when it came out. She is an Indonesian author who is based in Australia, and I'm pretty sure she just announced her next book to come out maybe in 2027. So I have to for sure try and read this book sometime soon before her next book comes out. But this one is basically about Kimiko Halim, who is super skeptical about happy endings and about weddings in general. But in order for her to inherit her grandma's yarn store, I believe, she has to prove to the attorney that she is in a long-term relationship and, you know, about to get married. So the MMC Rob kind of overheard, I believe, her conversation at a wedding about how negative she thinks weddings and happy endings are. So he's determined to find her the one in 5 weddings. And I'm pretty sure they're both gonna feel something throughout these 5 weddings that they're attending, even though he's trying to match make her with someone else. And I cannot wait to read all about it. Next one that I have from my pre-order stack is Score by Kennedy Ryan. I actually haven't even read the first book called Real, but I am 100% sure and confident that I would love this book series as well. This book series is called the Hollywood Renaissance series, and it's about people who work in the Hollywood movie industry, and I don't know if I've told you this enough, but I love it when books are set in the entertainment industry, whether they be like musicians, actors, screenwriters, directors, or whatever it may be. I just love learning about those characters. And I'm pretty sure this one is a second chance romance between Verity and Monk. I think Monk is a world-class musician and he actually create like music scores for movies, and Verity is an award-winning screenwriter. I just love those combination, and I cannot wait to read Real first and then Score, hopefully right after it, so I can get back into Kennedy Ryan's world of characters. I still have to finish Can't Get Enough, which is the third book in her Skyland series, but I cannot wait to jump into this one as well. The next one in my pre-order stack of book is The Other Side of Now by Paige Harbison. I know that this book was published last year, I think, maybe in the spring or maybe in the summer, but I was waiting to get the paperback version and it was finally published earlier this year. The premise is super interesting. I think our FMC is another famous Hollywood actress, I believe. And then somehow after her 30th birthday, she had a nervous breakdown and she decided to go on a trip to Ireland. And when she landed, she realized that the people in this town don't just recognize her, but they actually do know who she is. And one of the surprising thing about this town is that her best friend, who passed away, her name is Amy, is alive and well in this weird alternate universe. The only catch is that Amy does not talk to Meg, which is our FMC, and Meg is determined to find out why they're not talking and obviously determined to try and fix this because they've been friends forever and because this might be the only chance that Meg can have like an extra time with her friend Amy. The next book in my pre-order stack is called Double Happiness by Heather Eng, and I'm pretty sure this is her debut novel. I came across this book actually from her post on Instagram. She was sort of announcing that this is her first book that she ever published and what this book is all about. I think this book is about a love triangle. The FMC is engaged to a guy and there is a new guy in her life that sort of piqued like her interest. I know that not a lot of people like this type of trope. It could probably count as like emotional cheating, but I feel like most of the books that have that trope, usually the second guy is someone from her past, but this is from someone in her current like life, like someone brand new basically. There's no history between the two of them, and I feel like that could be pretty interesting to read about. Next book is Dolly All the Time by Annabelle Monaghan. I decided to pre-order this book because I love Annabelle Monaghan's FMC. All of her books that I've read, the FMC is like in her 30s. Some of them are basically have gone through life, like they've been married, have kids, going through a divorce and finding, you know, new meaning to like their life. And I feel like this book is the thickest book out of all of the ones that I have of hers, which is kind of interesting because I feel like a lot of people like her books because it's so small, so short that you can read it in like a couple days. But this is the first time that I see her book this thick. So this one is about Dolly, who has been married and I think divorced with one son, and she's moving back to her small hometown in Rhode Island, trying to help her dad and her brother not to lose their family home. And I guess in the midst of all of this, she ran into Stuart, whose family is the, I don't know, pioneer of this small town or something. The town is called Whitfield, I believe, and Stuart's last name is Whitfield. And I think something embarrassing happened between the two of them that's caught on TV or something like that, and somehow they struck an agreement to fake date. The next book that I have in my pre-order stack is Trope Sick by Lauren Oakey, and a lot of people actually have read her first book called The Best Worst Thing, I believe, and I've been wanting to try to read that book as well. I have it on hold for a while, and I still need to borrow it. But I thought I would go ahead and pre-order this one because people love her writing from that first book, and honestly, I'm just curious about this book as well. In the back of the book, the blurb says, in this slow-burning summer romance, two childhood neighbors unexpectedly reunite to ghostwrite a love story, only to discover that all of the tropes in their manuscript are mysteriously playing out in real life. I feel like it might have a little bit of a magical realism maybe in this book, and I'm not really sure if the trope that comes to life is between both of them or between like couple who are close to them. So I'm just really curious about that. Last but not least, in my pre-order book stack is The Summer Girlfriend by Christina Forrest. Like I mentioned earlier when I was thrifting her older books that she published. But this one just came out, I'm pretty sure, pretty recently. The back of the book, the blurb says, a fake summer fling between a stand-in girlfriend and a handsome business heir becomes way too real in this glittering new romance by USA Today's bestseller author Christina Forrest. The FMC used to work at a bookstore, and when she got laid off, her main gig is now serving as a stand-in bridesmaid, which doesn't pay enough for the upcoming semester's tuition. But then the perfect, if unconventional, opportunity arises. I think this is when the MMC, Jeremiah Smith II, hired her to be his fake girlfriend for the summer, I believe. Alright, those are all of the books that I was able to haul recently. I am hoping that I can also do a book unhaul very soon, because some of the books that I read in 2025, I think I'm gonna unhaul the ones that I don't want to keep in my bookshelf, and probably some of the ones that I have not read that I bought out of impulse because it's cheap or the cover looks good, or that I've heard the book from someone else or somewhere else, like on the internet. I might do a quick unhaul.